really proud of the team for finding a way to win the game on Saturday and the way we won the game and playing together and the joy that they played with and visually just we're down by 10 in the fourth quarter and they're showing their enjoyment of just being in the moment together and playing for each other and to be able to display that even when you're down that's what we're after in regards to an environment that we want to create here at Davis. So I was probably more proud of that than the result of the game. But to say I wasn't relieved and super proud to win the final Causeway and to keep that here was just a really, really cool moment. I was glad I had a chance to share it with the staff and players and administration, and we had a great turnout. The crowd was amazing. Just the energy we had in the stadium was I think a sign of what this place is capable of when we get everybody involved, and so just a great overall weekend for UC Davis athletics. I mean, for us to win that game, and Coach Layson and his boys winning water polo championship, and Coach Connors and the women's volleyball team winning the regular season championship. I think it's a great sign of just UC Davis athletics and where we're headed, and I'm just super proud to be a small part of that. And, for the committee to reward us with a bye in the 8th seed, we were surprised a little bit. We knew we would be close to that. Didn't know exactly where it was going to fall, but I think the cool part for me is, we fought really hard to earn respect as a program here, and I think that speaks to the national respect that we have from coaches and committee members and programs around the country, that they view us. Sometimes they view us even better than maybe we view ourselves, and I think it's important for us all to recognize that, on the national landscape, we are a top program now, and if we, have seasons like we had this year, then we should expect to be rewarded for that. And so I'm just thankful for the committee, thankful for Big Sky Commissioner and Rocco and everyone for putting in the hard work and fighting for us. And so we're very thankful for that, and get a week off, and guys get to go home for Thanksgiving, and we get to prepare for a playoff run, which we know how difficult every game is going to be now going forward. So just very thankful today, proud of the team, and looking forward to play at least one more game with these guys, and hopefully a couple more after that. Well, we had run that concept 2 times earlier in the game. We ran it on the second drive. We threw a go ball to Zach Jones in one-on-one coverage that was incomplete, but Sam was open. And then we ran it later in the game where we completed the ball to Mitch on a shallow cross, and he caught it and broke a tackle and got a gain of like 15 yards, and Sam was open. And that progression, if the tight end's open, he gets the ball first. And so, but we had noticed that the over route kept getting over. And so we were just communicating that on the iPad with Caden that, hey, if we call this, if they take Mitch away, we think we got a good chance of getting Sam. So we just called the same play again, just a different formation. They brought a corner pressure, and we were sliding protection that way, so we had it blocked up. And because they brought corner pressure, then the boundary safety has to cover the boundary vertical, and so the only guy they have left to cover the over route is a linebacker. So just kind of sometimes when you call plays, you have a chance to hit the jackpot, and that was one of them. Yeah. No, we kind of learned last year that we're going to treat both teams with the amount of respect they deserve. We'll break down both opponents. We won't necessarily be installing anything for our players this week. This week will just be about practicing hard and making sure we're self-scouting, looking at the things we got to get better at. Staff will break down both opponents and have introductory game plans kind of ready for both teams. We'll give the players basically Wednesday evening, Thursday, Friday, Saturday off. Staff will get Wednesday evening, Thursday, Friday off, and then on Saturday we'll kind of watch the game together as a staff. Our families, our kids will kind of all be in the facility watching the games together, hanging out, and then once that game gets done and we know who we're playing, we have kind of a preliminary game plan already made, and then we can spend all of Saturday and Sunday kind of locking in the stuff we want to do, and then players will come back Sunday and we'll get after it. Very similar, yeah. Even if it wasn't Thanksgiving, we would still give the guys probably 3-4 days off. It's been a long season, and I think you can overwork them. At this point, they are who they are. They need to recharge the batteries, get away. Staff does too. Staff's as important as the players. These guys have been working crazy hours and need time with their wives and time with their kids, and get away from football a little bit so that when you do come back, you got a little re-energized focus and a little more juice behind it. You almost miss it when you're away for 3-4 days. I can't wait to get back and play, and so you kind of want to build that up for them. We'll always have, they can go have Thanksgiving with the coaches, or they'll go have Thanksgiving with their teammates, but everyone will have a place to go, and we're supported financially through administration. If we have to have 20 guys over to my house, then they'll help us financially, make sure we got enough food for everybody, but everyone will have a place to go. Yeah, this is a great job. I mean, it's one of the best jobs in the world, but it's a terrible profession. Doesn't make a lot of sense all the time. There's a lot of bottom line things that happen. Starting with Justin Wilcox, as I said when I came here, I've been influenced by a lot of coaches, and Jim Soker and Bob Biggs and Lou Bronson and Fred Arp and Mike Morosky, Chris Peterson, Dan Hawkins, but I'm a Justin Wilcox guy. If you think about any success I've had as a head coach, I want to be part of the Wilcox tree. If there's a tree of coaches, right, that are linked with anybody, I want to be linked with Justin Wilcox. He's a tremendous person, great coach, good man, great father, and I'm just really proud of just the time I've had to spend with Justin. I think it's awful what happened, and I think sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for, and I think sometimes programs find that out the hard way. I'm not rooting against anybody, but there's not a better coach in the country than Justin Wilcox. So if he's not good enough for your program at the moment, I'd be really hard pressed to see who you're going to get to replace someone like that. So my heart goes out to Justin, goes out to the coaching staff there at Cal. A lot of guys on that staff that I love a lot, but Justin's going to be fine. I'm sure he's going to have a job offer within 24 hours, and he can decide whether he wants to keep doing this, or knowing him, he'll move back up to Coeur d'Alene and fish every day, and you'll never hear from him again. But I love Justin Wilcox a lot, and was really saddened to see that. But what a tremendous 9 years he had, and great person, and wish him all the best. Paul Wolf, similarly, I think Paul's a great coach. I think hasn't been the easiest situation in Cal Poly with some of the transitional things that they're going through, but he always operates with class and integrity, and I thought his team got a lot better this year from a year ago, but sometimes bottom line results and how teams look at things, and same thing, you get rid of a guy like Paul Wolf, you better have a good reason as to why and to who you're going to bring in there. So I was bummed to see that. Man, the profession nowadays and how that all goes about, like I said, it's one of the best jobs in the world, but one of the worst professions. So anytime guys come up to me and say they want to coach, I always say, do not coach. Like find something else to do, because the hours we work and the time we put in, and everyone sees the big salaries, but that's a very small percentage of people. There's a large number of guys that are grinding and working their butt off, to support these players and make them the best they can be. And they lose a game here or there, and people want to run them out of the building. And I've been on both sides of that, where 1 year I'm the next greatest thing, and they're talking me up like I'm the best coach in the world, and then a year later I got people sending me messages saying they want to run over my kids with a car, and so it's just the way people treat the coaches and how those things go. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think the one thing that you got to hope as a coach is that you focus on the things that you care about, treat the kids the right way, be a good person, and I believe good things happen to good people eventually. When you come in after a tough loss and results aren't going the way that anybody wants, coaches, players, administration, fans, especially at a place like Boise State that's got great tradition, when you're going home that day, there's going to be something's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of pressure on everybody, and to lose the game that we did, I remember all of us talking like something's going to happen. I remember coming into work that day, and we had a staff meet in the morning, getting ready for the next opponent, and you sit down with head coach and everybody else, and they say, hey, we're going to make a change. We're gonna let you go, and you see your name kind of go across the screen there on ESPN. Your name, you've been fired. Everyone in the country sees it, and got to call your wife that day, tell her you just got fired. Got to call your kids that day, tell them you just got fired. And there's a lot of introspective things that go on as a person when you go through that. I think the best way to handle that is to look at yourself and what could I have done better? What are the mistakes I made? And you feel for the players. You feel like you let them down. You feel like you let your staff down. There's just a lot of emotions there. I think the things I was most proud of my time at Boise was, when that day happened, just the support I had from the staff. I was told I couldn't come back in the building until everybody had left to pick up my stuff. So, I came back in like 10, 11 o'clock at night to clear my office out, and the entire staff was there waiting for me to help me clear the staff out. And then the next day we have to ask Christine, but somewhere between 50 to 60 players come by our house, and so even though the results aren't what you want and things don't go the way you want, you blame yourself for not getting things done. You felt like you made an impact at least on the people you were around. That you treated people the right way. You were a good person. And but going back to the original question too, the day I got let go, I got a phone call within 10 minutes from 3 people, right? Chris Peterson was one of them, and Justin Wilcox was the other one, right? So, the relationships you build throughout the years, that'll help you get through tough times. And again, good people always land with good spots, because if you treat people the right way, that'll always win out, I think.
How did you know Justin?
What'd you say?
How did you know Justin?
Oh, gosh, I'd known Justin a while. When he was at Boise with Coach Pete and, the great teams that they had, we had played them. I don't know what year that was, but we went up there and played them. And when he was defensive coordinator at USC and I was at NAU, me and Andy Thompson took a couple trips out to USC. I went out there to learn how to change our offense from pro style to no huddle, because that's what Coach Helton was doing at USC. And so I was learning that, and then Andy had known Justin for a long time through Peter's sermon, and so we got a lot of time to kind of interact with each other there. And then when we played Cal, when I was under Coach Hawkins, I think in 2019, Coach Wilcox had called me after the game. We talked a little bit more, some football, and so just kind of over the years, just the same people, right? Like you kind of get linked together through Coach Pete and Coach Hawk and all these guys, and so just always respected him from afar. Yeah, I'm really, really happy for Caden to be on that list. I had the pleasure of coaching a Jerry Rice Award winner with Case Cookus years ago, and that's a very obviously prestigious award named after the greatest football player to ever live. So really cool that our program gets a light shined on them, and that Caden gets shown recognition for the great season he's had. Yeah, it was by far his best football game, just by the decision making. It'd be funny to go back and look, but how many scramble yards did Caden have in that game? I know, I'll steal the answer for you, but it's 0, right? He did not scramble or take off and run at all in that football game because the ball was coming out of his hand. He was making great decisions. A lot of times he was checking the football down because they were playing deep shell coverages. So I think about the check down to Ian we had a shot play to Jordan Fisher early in the game. He checks down to Ian for 20 yards. Had another shot play down here in the red zone. We're trying to throw a touchdown, a screen and go. He checks it down to Stacy for 15 yards. Another shot play going the other way in the gold zone. Checks down to Ian for 10 yards. Had the over route to Sam. Checks it down to Mitch for 15 yards. So his discipline to go through his progressions, get the ball out of his hand. He's 24 for 30 for 300 yards. And, still had some things he wants back, obviously. But I just thought it was his best game just from staying humble, staying committed to the process, going through his progressions, balls out of his hand, great decisions, and was his best when his best was needed. Made a great throw late in the game when we had to have it. And, if he plays like that, I think we can beat anybody. So I'm excited to see him, reach his peak this year and hopefully keep growing and getting better. It's definitely a concern. We can't be giving teams free possessions. The 2 turnovers this week, the first one's just a great play by them. They bring a boundary overload pressure, and I think their boundary defensive end made a mistake and didn't stunt, and so the backer ended up coming through the B gap and just beat our protection. And if anything, Caden could just learn to take a sack there and not make a bad play worse. And then on the other one, we got the fumbled snap, the high snap bounces off someone's helmet, and so we can't be giving teams free opportunities. No one works ball security more than we do. But I also don't want our guys playing cautious and thinking about, I just don't want to turn the ball over. So I think it's just us putting our guys in great positions to be successful, and hopefully, they learn from those mistakes so that we don't make them going forward. Yeah, it was. I mean, again, I'd be lying if I didn't say I was relieved. It was just I was definitely trying to hide it all week, but man, I was feeling it. I really wanted that game, just because I felt like it mattered more to us. And the connection I have to the community and the program, and so I'm thinking about Coach Soker and Bob Foster and Bob Biggs and Bronson and Morosky and Arp, and I'm thinking about the former players and my teammates, and how disappointed they would be if we don't have that win for the last one. And so to get that done, just again the relief that was going through my body, and just the thought of how hard our team worked and the way we won the game, and so I wasn't even thinking about playoffs or wins. I was just thinking like, man, last Causeway, that's where that thing belongs. It should be here. It's always meant more to us, and we've won our fair share of those games, but that'll probably be the one. You guys asked me last week, like, what's your memories of it? That'll be at the top of the list. Standing next to Mitch Dixon with the trophy, and just seeing the joy on those guys' faces, and hugging my teammates, and seeing some former players I hadn't seen for years, and former coaches, and it was a special day for sure for Davis football.